Well, good morning. This is the Tier 2 British cruiser, the Weymouth. She's a very simple ship to work with. And you can see why she's at Tier 2 if you've spent any time playing with higher tier boats. There's really not much to her, so I'm going to show you how this ship handles in two kinds of combat. The first kind is against bots, and then I'm going to show you another battle against humans. And the two really do fight very, very differently. So let's get into the Weymouth. Here's the armor layout. Let me back out a few of the filters. One more. Okay, there's her citadel. You can see it's a very desirable location. It's very low and decent armor for Tier 2, but the fact that it's so low makes the ship hard to citadel. Now you go up against a battleship, of course, it's another story. The battleships will go right through that armor. Now her guns, of which she has 8 of them, are decently armored for a Tier 2. They are 76 millimeters, not bad. So you won't have many of your guns taken out. On top of her citadel, she's got another 10 millimeters of armor, and then her superstructure is only 6 millimeters. Paper thin, and then 6 millimeters on the fore-end plating. So as you can see, she really doesn't have much armor. So you'll want to do your best to keep your nose or your stern pointed towards whoever's shooting at you. Now against the bots, that's pretty easy to do. When you go into a bot battle, there isn't a lot of enemies, but in the second battle you're going to see when you go against humans, oh boy, it's like a really busy road. They're everywhere, but they do fight differently. So for hit points, she's got 20,300, which actually isn't half bad. Her guns are pretty nice. She has 8 152 millimeter guns with a 8.6 reload time. Her turret rotation is 25.7 seconds. There are battleships out there that can beat that. The turret rotation is really slow on this ship. So you're going to have to plan for that. Thank goodness that she's got a couple of turrets on the port side and a couple of turrets on the starboard side. So it won't take long for you to get a turret pointed at whatever you want to shoot at. She has no high explosives shells. Everything is AP with a range of 10.7. And her guns are a little slow. 773 meters per second. That's not that impressive. So when we look at her AA defense, it's pitiful. Yep. One 40 millimeter gun. One. And a range of 2 kilometers. There it is. And one 76.2 millimeter guns with a 3 kilometer range. Yeah, that's pretty poor. I wouldn't even waste the time on an AA build. Her maneuverability isn't bad, 26 knots, but her rudder shift is going to help you, and you're going to want to remember, use that rudder. 5.9 seconds. And there are destroyers out there that get close to that. So when you look at her concealment, detectability by sea is 10.3 kilometers. Her main battery firing range is 10.7. So only your first shot is going to get out there without them seeing you. Once you fire these guns, as with any other ship in this game, your visibility, detectability range by sea increases by about, I think it's 40%. So the moment you fire these guns, most of the enemy is going to know where you are. So you better make that first shot count. Alright. For the captain, I gave priority target. That lets me know how many people are shooting at me. And I picked that one because if I see a lot of enemies starting to focus on me, that's a good idea that you need to turn around and get the heck out of there. Because with the light armor that this ship has, you're not going to last long. Especially since you're going to be going up against Tier 3 ships in this Tier 2 ship. And that includes the USS St. Louis. And if you know anything about the U.S. cruiser line, the Tier 3 St. Louis is a battle wagon. It really can lay down the hurt. I did consider Expert Loader, but it only cuts down the reload time when the shell type is switched, but all your guns have to be loaded. If there's one that's still reloading, then this is useless. For my level 2, I went with Last Stand. I felt this was important because if your steering or engine get taken out, you're a sitting duck in this boat. You just don't want it. Another one that I would consider, though, under attack level 2 is the turret rotation speed up. An extra 2.5 degrees per second would be nice. Alright, so as you can see, she's not an unattractive ship. She looks nice. This first battle you're going to see is against bots, and you're going to notice how the bots battle is very different from the way that humans do. The bots have a tendency to charge in, and there's a lot of teamwork among the bots. They tend to focus fire. They're pretty good at that. Let's zip ahead a bit in the video, and you can see there's 2 enemy St. Louis's, and you're going to see a lot more of them. And you're going to see that the Weymouth really doesn't do much against them. You're better off focusing on destroyers if you're in this ship. But I'm sure you've seen this map before. When you have 3 capture points, usually the bots will focus on B cap and maybe send 1 or 2 ships up to C cap or A cap, but usually they push B pretty hard. Let's zip ahead a bit in the video. Alright, so we're already detected. The enemy's gonna pop up any second. There they are. And there's just 1 enemy shooting at me. Lousy first shot, so I make an adjustment. And there's a second salvo. Not a good shot either. I really should lead him a bit more. There we go. That's better. So I'm gonna take a pot shot at this guy. I probably should have stayed on the original destroyer since he was broadside onto me. But he gets taken out by a torpedo. And this guy does too. So there is an enemy St. Louis. who just disappeared behind a wall of smoke. This is something you gotta watch out for. Smoke screens are a two-way street. It blinds us from the enemy, but it also blinds the enemy from us, making it really hard to know where they are. You can always blind fire, and once in a while you'll score some hits. If you have torps though, send them into a smoke screen if you know there are no friendlies in there, as they can't see your torps, the enemy can't, if you send torps in there, not until the last second. So now I'm focusing on the St. Louis. You can see the dispersion of my guns are not that great. It's not an accurate ship. I really wish I had high explosive here, because the St. Louis is so heavily armored that high explosive is the way to go. I'm a little worried about that St. Louis because it's got 14 guns. That's a lot of them. Now take a moment to peek at the mini-map. You can see where I'm located. There's an awful lot of friendlies between us and them. That's a good place to be if you're in a Weymouth. Now the bots, for some reason, and I've seen this happen a couple of times, they'll just stop. It's rare, but they do it. I don't know why. And you can see that a full salvo is only doing 1,600 damage on a good salvo. Only did 280 points there. So the Weymouth is a challenge. If you want to survive, practice your survival skills, the Weymouth is a good way to go, because it's going to force you to figure out ways to stay alive. Now the only reason I'm still broadside to these guys is because they're not pointing at me. Otherwise I'd be angled. But we're doing a fairly good job of focusing fire. Our destroyers are doing an outstanding job of just sending torps into the bots. And that's the downside of sticking together as a group. Torps can really ruin your day. The upside is that you've got an awful lot of firepower focused in one area, and if you decide to take on an enemy and you're in a group, it's real easy to take down an enemy. Awfully quick. So you gotta figure out what's the best group size. Still, I'm doing decent damage. Landed 59 hits, and that's it. So we won that battle. We're not gonna win the next, but you'll get to see a big difference between how humans fight versus how bots fight. 21 hits and I only did 12,000 damage on that St. Louis. 39 hits and I only did 11,000 damage. You can see the Weymouth is just not a powerhouse of a ship. It's going to force you to figure out how to stay alive. I'm trying to find good points to talk about the Weymouth, and it's proving not to be so easy to do. Alright, so let's take a battle with humans. People versus people. Let's zip ahead in the video. A little more ahead, a little more ahead. What I want to do is get a screenshot up of just how many ships are on our side and how many ships are on theirs. It's very different. There, look at that. Very different from the last battle. When you go to a people versus people battle, the team sizes are almost doubled. It's huge. On the enemy team, they've got 3 enemy St. Louis's. They've got a Caledon and a Kolberg and 10 Ruse. I believe the Caledon, Kolberg, and 10 Ruse have torpedoes, along with the Umakazes. The Umakazes are a very serious foe because they can torpedo from outside visibility range. They got 8-kilometer torpedoes, and you can't even see these ships until they get 5.5 kilometers. Unless they're firing their guns, if they do that, you can spot them way, way, way away. Alright, let's get into this. So you can see on the mini-map the layout of our ships. And it's always a good idea to stay in a group. There's an old saying, the nail that stands up gets hammered down. And when you're in a person versus person game, if you go running off on your own, humans are just going to focus fire you and just take you out in a hurry. You're going to see something like that almost happen to me pretty early in the game. Let's zip ahead a bit in the video. Alright, so we've spotted our first enemy, and here's the second, and you can see up above his ship in the yellow-orange color, number 3. That means there are 3 enemy ships focusing on me, and that means I'm in trouble. So I need to get the hell out of there. Take a look at the mini-map. You can see there's an awful lot of enemies pretty darn close to me. I need to start getting out of here. Yeah, I've lost 20% of my health, so I'm turning. But I am laying in a few shots. I'm going to try to get fewer ships shooting at me. That is a St. Louis. You can always tell by the 4 stacks. Ouch. But at least there's not 3 shooting at me anymore. It's just 1. And it's probably this St. Louis. Now you can see from the mini-map, our team has grouped together to the left of the A cap quite well. And we've also got a group of 3 headed to the C cap. That group of 3 is really outgunned. I know there's a group of 4. Our pink destroyers down there. Now I really shouldn't be broadside on, but I don't want to turn away. I will get out of range of the enemy. I won't be able to shoot at them if I turn to port. If I turn to starboard, I'm gonna wind up getting focus fired. But the right thing to do if you're in the Weymouth and you're on human versus human combat is to use these islands to your advantage. I failed to do that in this battle. Probably a good thing in this battle, because I would have been so close to the enemy that they just would have focused fired on me and I'd be gone. You'll also see a difference in the way people fight is that they are on that rudder a lot more than the bots are. They're changing their speed, they're changing their ship direction. They're really, really throwing that ship around. And you'll also see they're not charging in. They are staying back. This is very common in people versus people battles. Is that the teams tend to stand off at distance, and they maintain distance, and they rely on their long-range aiming to be able to hit the enemy and sink from distance. They seldom charge in. And you'll also find that people versus people battles, people are really good shots compared to the people versus bot battles. The bots are not as accurate. But when you get into people versus people battles, oh yeah, they're a heck of a lot more accurate. So the enemy is ahead, but just barely. You can see that we are scoring some hits, but it's still a very, very close game. I'm doing my best to stay on that rudder, but our ships are so close to each other, it's really hard to do that. You can see the lead that I'm giving on these ships is 15 seconds, maybe more. On bot battles, it'll be half that. The bots push in really close, but not the humans.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
So you can see that the enemy is doing a fairly good job of maintaining distance where I am from them. They're right at the limit of my shooting range. That St. Louis just took out a friend. I'm doing my best to do some damage to him. Now he's looking around and realizing that somebody is shooting at him. Probably should be. Oh, there he goes. Great. Alright, one more down. But you can see up at the top of your screen the enemy have really, really done a good job of taking us out. Our team up north is still doing a decent job of staying grouped together, but there's no communication going on about focusing fire. That's where the paint job on that St. Louis makes him look like he's in jail. Ouch! That is what a St. Louis can do to a Weymouth. You really gotta watch out for a St. Louis. Oh, somebody else is shooting at me. That's a Tenru. He's got torps, but I'm pretty far away. Look at his smokestack. He was nearly stopped. That is another Tenru. Either that or Chikuma. So I've got two focusing on me. By now, the enemy can see my health bar, and they know I'm an easy kill. So they're going to want to focus on me. And you can do the same thing on your team too. If you see an enemy is nearly gone, even if he's got one hit point, he can kill you. But if he is low on hit points, hey, easy to take him out. You always want to focus, well, not always, but you want to focus on an easy kill. So I have pushed out, opened up range. There are a lot of ships closer to the enemy than I am. Alright, so I finally scored one kill. I consider it a victory if I take out more ships than one. If I can take out 2 ships or more, I figure I've done my part. I'm gonna have to lead more than that. There we go. Salvo out. And looks like it's gonna hit on the rear. Yep. Gonna go ahead and give it a little more lead. That's better. Now I'm landing some hits. That Tenru is focusing on one of our guys, which which pretty much leaves me free just to keep pumping shells into him. Okay, 2 people have decided to focus on me, and I'm betting one of them is this Tenru. Nope, it's everybody else. But on the mini-map you can see I'm very close to an island, so I am protected. Good, took him out. And there's some shots that were at me. I probably should have stayed behind that island, because that's gotta be a St. Louis with all the shells he has. So this guy that I'm aiming at is an easy kill. Well, now I'm gone. Well, bummer. Got taken out by a St. Louis. I'm not surprised. So it's just one of our guys versus 3 enemies. Zip ahead a bit in the video, and our guy left is a St. Louis, and he is doing his job focusing on that Tenru, but he's within torpedo range of that Tenru, and that Tenru is definitely going to be sending torps his way. St. Louis has got a ton of guns and it's heavily armored, but it can't turn. Yep, there they are. There they are. He should have turned. Now he's flooding. Now if the enemy starts a fire on him, he cannot use his repair ability. You've got to be careful how you use that repair ability. There he is. He's on fire. He can't put that out. So it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to be gone any second. And that's too bad. So how do you want to use the Weymouth? Well, it depends greatly on whether or not you're going against bots or against people. The bots really do fight differently than people, but the Weymouth is definitely not a front line ship. You're going to want to maintain distance, and you're going to want to be careful about who you're going up against, and use those islands. You just have to be careful how you use those islands. If you hide behind an island and then pop out, if the enemy's close by, they are going to finish you off. Especially if they're people versus people. Anyway, the Weymouth is a good ship if you want to learn how to stay alive. You've got to really use your head. Otherwise you're going to get pulverized with this ship. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and have fun.